The Art of Being, Free and Easy Wandering. Teachings from the Zhuangzi. Nourishing Life. Those who know the importance of nourishing life will not expend their energy going after material things. Those who don't care about life will try to get what they desire at all cost. Those who understand the meaning of nourishing life know that conceptual thinking not only has limits, but also wastes mental energy. If you use that which has limits to understand that which has no limit, you will attend to petty things and forget the big picture. You need to know what you can do before you can help others. If you aren't sure of what you can do, it is no use trying to change the world. Know what destroys virtue, and know what knowledge can degenerate into. Virtue is destroyed by fame, and knowledge can degenerate into a tool for haggling. Fame can be used to coerce, and expertise can be used to barter. Knowledge, fame, and expertise can become weapons of destruction if used in the wrong way. You can cheat people, but you can't cheat the way. Those holding virtue do not allow likes and dislikes to disturb their stillness. They let things follow their natural tendencies and do not try to push them along. The way gave them a face, heaven lent them a body. They are content with that. Many people, however, treat the spirit like an alien. They wear out their bodies, tire their minds, and dissipate their life force. Day after day they lean against trees, bemoaning their fate, slump at their desks and doze off, or lie on their beds, dreading their burdens. The Way gave us each a healthy body and a sound mind. What a waste if we spend our lives sitting around like forgotten trash and jabber nonsense. Petty people breathe from the throat. Their desires are deep, and their understanding of heaven is shallow. As a result, their words come out garbled, their speech is forced, and they spit out diatribes as if they are throwing up. The Way, mother of all, gave you a body, filled it with life force, eases you into old age, and gives you rest in death. What else can you ask for? The sage is not concerned with what is and what is not. Her face is serene and her forehead is wide. She can be chilly like an autumn wind and soft and warm like a spring breeze. Her joy and anger are natural, like the cycle of the seasons. In harmony with everything around her, she lets things follow their natural course and does not interfere with inborn nature. Horses are meant to run free. Their hooves are made to endure frost, snow, grass, and sand. They shed their coats in summer to keep cool and build a thick coat in winter to keep warm. Although they may be kept inside palaces and fine stables, they really have no need for these types of lodging. Then along come the horse trainers who claim to breed horses for specific needs. So now we have racehorses, show horses, war horses, and carriage horses. If there were no desire for the pleasure of racing, there would be no racehorses. If there were no amusement in watching horses perform, there would be no show horses. If there were no need for war, there would be no war horses. If people lived simple lives, preferring to walk rather than be carried around in vehicles, there would be no need for carriage horses. In order to improve breeding and train horses for special uses, the horse trainers geld those of lesser breeding, starve and strangle them into submission, force them to run side by side and respond to bit and rein, and make them cower in terror of whip and bridle. By the time the horse trainers have obtained what they want, half the horses have not survived. If there were no demand for special horses, there would be no demand for trainers and breeders, and the horses would be left to their inborn nature. When virtue pervades society, people's gait is slow and relaxed, and their gaze is soft and steady. Roads are not cut through mountains, rivers are not dammed, and forests are not cleared. Birds can nest near villages without fear of being hunted. Wild animals do not prey on domestic animals, and children do not need to run from strangers. Because people are simple and honest and do not know what it means to scheme, their thoughts and actions are not distorted by ambition and technical know-how. Free of desire, they abide in a simplicity that is uncarved and unadorned. In this way, they are never separated from their inborn and true nature. If virtue and the natural way of things were not abandoned, there would be no need for rules, regulations, or even the teaching of kindness and benevolence. If unborn nature were not ignored, there would be no need for rituals, rites, and ethics. If people were not trapped by sensual pleasures, there would be no place for fads and fashions. People abandoned the Way because they thought they could improve on something that is actually best left alone. The natural ways were abandoned when the artisan decided that human activity could outdo natural beauty. They were abandoned when rulers believed that laws and justice could replace virtue. When horses are left alone to roam the fields, they eat the grass and drink from the streams. In mating season, they procreate. In natural affection, they rub their necks against each other. In competing for a mate, they kick and scream. This is what horses naturally do. Force them to race or pull heavy loads, and they will rip the hitches, injure the handlers, or topple the carriage. If horses can resort to destructive behavior when forced to do what is not their inborn nature, imagine what people will do when they are forced to go against their inborn nature. The sagely rulers ruled by not ruling. People stayed at home when they needed to be at home and traveled only when they needed to go somewhere. They farmed, wove, cooked, and traded as they felt the need. Their mouths were full and they were happy. Patting their bellies, they passed their time in contentment. Then along came those who wanted to motivate people to do more, have more, and want more. People learned to covet knowledge and know-how. They fought over profit and loss. They schemed to be more prosperous, more famous, and more powerful than those around them. Once these changes occurred, it became difficult to return to the inborn nature of simplicity. Someone who plans to guard against thieves who rifle through boxes will put locks on the containers. Believing that the goods are secure, the person will proceed to pile more treasures into the locked chests. Locks may deter the petty thief, but a smart thief will simply haul away the boxes and break the locks later. If you don't put locks on boxes, then you are bound to put fewer possessions in them, and when you're robbed, you'll lose less. If you lock the boxes, however, you'll have a false sense of security. As a result, you will put more treasures in the boxes and end up losing more. So piling up possessions just means that you'll invite smarter thieves. Similarly, piling up laws and regulations means that you'll encourage more ingenious ways of breaking them. If you don't want thieves rifling through your boxes, then cultivate simplicity. With simplicity, what is stored will not be perceived as treasures. When there is no perceived value in the contents of the boxes, thieves will not be interested in stealing what's in there. Set up a system of weights and measures, and people will figure out ways to cheat it. Promote ethics, and people will exhibit benevolent actions but have criminal thoughts. Put a value on gold, jade, and jewelry, and thieves will multiply. Reward ambitious behaviors and intentions, and people will resort to unscrupulous ways to obtain favors. When ambition becomes the root of knowledge, knowledge and technology will develop to serve control and conquest. When knowledge is developed for making bows and arrows, birds will flee to the skies. When knowledge is used to make dragnets, fish will disappear into the ocean depths. When knowledge is used to make traps and snares, wild animals will hide in the forests and mountains. When knowledge is used to fashion weapons of destruction, sages will live in oblivion. When the way is abandoned, confusion will reign. Confusion is so destructive that it can block the brightness of the sun and the moon, scorch fields and hills, dry up rivers and lakes, and overturn the cycles of the seasons. It can push aside honest and simple people in favor of those who are ambitious and ruthless. It can draw people away from calm non-action and drive them into a frenzy of jumbled and endless chattering. If you can get people to turn their senses away from external things, they will be able to look inward. Looking inward, they will regain true sight. When people have true sight, the world will no longer look dazzling. If the world is no longer perceived as glamorous, people will no longer desire to be stimulated by sights and sounds every moment of their waking lives. Consequently, they can begin to cultivate a silent appreciation of their surroundings. When people hold on to their inborn wisdom, the world will no longer appear confused. When people do not lose their connection to virtue, the world will no longer feel crazy. Leave it alone. Let the world be. Leave it alone. Don't try to manipulate and control it. Otherwise, you will abandon the way and distract people from virtue. If the natural order of things is not disrupted, if people don't stray from virtue, there will be no need for laws and administration. Ever since there has been government and large bureaucracy, people have fussed over rewards and punishments, debating over how they should be given and in what amount. Constantly arguing for the sake of arguing, how can people ever have time to rest in the inborn nature of virtue? It was said that after the Yellow Emperor ruled for 19 years, his commands were followed and respected by all his subjects. Believing that he could still improve his leadership skills, he went to the sage Zhuangzi for advice. The emperor bowed before the sage and said, "I would like to learn about the essence of heaven and earth so that I can apply it to help the grains to grow. I want to master yin and yang so that I can use it to nourish the earth and my people. Can you teach me?" Zhuangzi replied, "It looks like you want to learn about the natural order of things in order to control them. When you control the natural order is no longer natural. How can something that is not natural give birth to and nourish all things? You've turned government into control and benevolence into mere behavior. Ever since you ascended the throne, rain has fallen before the clouds gathered, leaves have fallen before they turned yellow, and the light of the sun and the moon have grown weaker every day. This is all because of your wanting to control everything. You stupid and arrogant man, how can you be taught the way? Don't get carried away by what is inside. Block off what is intruding from the outside. Too much knowledge will harm the spirit. Too much physical labor will harm the body. Too much indulgence will harm the essence of life. What is before me I embrace. What is beyond me I let merge with darkness. Don't ask its name. Don't try to figure out its form. Simply leave it alone and let it be. Those who do not understand the way will not be pure in virtue. Consequently, they will not be able to find an appropriate path in life. This is pitiful indeed. The way is that which is natural. It is the path of the immortals. There is also the mundane and petty way, which is not the way. To rest in non-action and command respect is the natural way. To use force in action and become entrapped in it is the mundane and petty way. The path to immortality is about becoming simpler and simpler each day. The path of pettiness is about increasing complexity day after day. When you are content to live in simplicity, then achievement, profit, fame, and fortune will have no place in your life. When praised, you won't be concerned. When blamed, you'll be serene and calm. Letting body and spirit follow the inborn nature, you can wander freely through the everyday world and not be flustered. When virtue is abandoned, people agree with what is popular and do things to please the crowd. Public opinion, not inborn nature, and not even the conviction of right and wrong, dictates beliefs and actions. Leaders polish arguments and speak pleasing words to gain support. Followers are enticed by petty promises and gains. Those in government display their skills in the hope of attaining wealth and advancement. Abandoning the principles of right and wrong, they brag about their leadership skills while belittling others. Yet all this time they have failed to see themselves as one of the mob. Those who know that they are fools are not the biggest fools. Those who know that they are confused are not as confused as they think they are. The most confused are those who live their entire lives not knowing the straight from the crooked. The biggest fools are those who in all their lives have never seen the light of virtue and have never even aspired to see that light. When colors and shapes confuse the eyes, the eyesight will be unclear. When noise and dissonance confuse the ears, the hearing will be dulled. When odors overstimulate the nose, headaches will occur. When flavors inundate the mouth, the sense of taste will be impaired. When likes and dislikes dominate thoughts, people will be volatile and unable to hold on to their inborn nature. Thus, overloading your senses and crowding your mind with too many opinions can be a dangerous thing. When the way of virtue began to decline, people thought they needed to repair inborn nature. As a result, all kinds of plans to repair virtue emerged. Purity and simplicity were destroyed, and virtue became synonymous with conduct, protocol, and good behavior. People no longer trusted their inborn nature. They began to replace virtue with knowledge, hoping that knowledge and skills could bring order to the world. When they found that knowledge alone didn't do much, culture was introduced, mixed with breadth of learning. Learning then bred arrogance, which led to debates of whose culture was best. Obsession with learning clouds clarity. With time, people lost clarity, they got confused and deluded, and they had no inkling of how to return to the way. As a result, the world lost the way. The way was no longer part of the world, and both rapidly moved farther and farther apart. Wealth, renown, and long life are what most people want today. Happiness is defined as a life of leisure, exotic food, fine clothing, beautiful sights, and pleasing sounds. Poverty, feeling useless, and an early death are what most people hate. A hard life with little rest, food without taste, clothing that is out of style, and no sights and sounds to entertain the senses are the things most people dread. People who can't get fame and fortune will go to no end to attain them, and those who have them are deathly afraid that they will lose them. What a stupid way to live. Those who are rich spend their time trying to get richer, wearing themselves out by piling up more wealth than they can ever use. What a waste of time. Those who have a reputation and a name to uphold spend their time scheming to become more famous, afraid that others will see and exaggerate their small faults. What a useless way to spend energy. If you are worrying and fretting all the time trying to get more, you'll end up with a tired body and an addled mind, even if you live a long life. What a callous way to treat yourself. Right and wrong are not decided by public opinion. If you measure yourself by what others think, you will live only to please the crowd. Since you can't please everyone, you will never truly be content and happy. Don't try to develop what is created by force and unnaturalness. Let things run their own course naturally and effortlessly. Those who cultivate the way will nourish life. Those who push things stubbornly will injure life.
One who lives in accordance with nature does not go against the way of things. He moves in harmony with the present moment. One who sees himself as everything is fit to be guardian of the world. One who loves himself as everyone is fit to be teacher of this world. Do you think you can take over the universe and improve it? I do not believe it can be done. Everything under heaven is a sacred vessel and cannot be controlled. Trying to control leads to ruin. Trying to grasp, we lose. Allow your life to unfold naturally. To know harmony is to know the changeless. To know the changeless is to have insight. Things in harmony with the Tao remain. Things that are forced grow for a while, but then wither away. This is not the Tao. And whatever is against the Tao soon ceases to be. Stop trying to control. Let go of fixed plans and concepts, and the world will govern itself. How do I know this is so? Because in this world, the greater the restrictions and prohibitions, the more people are impoverished. The more advanced the weapons of state, the darker the nation. The more artful and crafty the plan, the stranger the outcome. The more laws are posted, the more thieves appear. When life is simple, pretenses fall away. Our essential natures shine through. By not wanting, there is calm, and the world will straighten itself. When there is silence, one finds the anchor of the universe within oneself. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy. The earth becomes depleted. The equilibrium crumbles. Creatures become extinct.